President-elect Joe Biden has chosen retired General Lloyd Austin as his possible Secretary of Defense. This is his nominee for Secretary of Defense, and we'll see if he gets confirmed by the Senate. It appears likely that this will happen. Republican lawmakers have come out in support of General Lloyd Austin already. So that's a little bit of a warning sign, especially because since he retired from the military in 2016, he's been working with defense contractors like Raytheon. So Biden did publish a statement on why he chose to work with Lloyd Austin as Secretary of Defense. He said this: in his more than 40 years in the United States Army, Austin met every challenge with extraordinary skill and profound personal decency. He's a true and tested soldier and leader. I've spent countless hours with him in the field and in the White House Situation Room. I've sought his advice, seen his command, and admired his calm and his character. He is the definition of a patriot. He also says that General Austin was the first African-American general officer to lead the Army Corps in combat and the first African-American to command an entire theater of war. If confirmed, he will be the first African-American to helm the Defense Department, another milestone in the barrier-breaking career dedicated to keeping the American people secure. And I agree with having diversity and representation within the cabinet. That is an important part of this equation, but I also really do care about ethics, and I care about the career path that these cabinet picks have chosen when they're not working for the government, right? So in this case, he worked for a company that was later bought out by Raytheon, but at the end of the day, he was working at Raytheon, and that worries me since Raytheon is a major, defense contractor, and they have a vested interest in either perpetuating war that we're already engaged in, or maybe even engaging in new wars. John, I wanted to give you an opportunity to jump in and share your thoughts.
My first thought is, let me ask a question. I guess maybe this is to you, or maybe this is to the audience. So let's say it gets confirmed. Let's say that that's possible, that cabinet nominees actually get confirmed under this possibly Republican Senate and serves, let's say for 4 years. What is this individual going to do after serving as Secretary of Defense? If you had to guess. I mean, I can't say for sure. Yeah, maybe not Raytheon. No,
you know, we all know.
And so, the important follow-up question then: what would one have to do to get that job in 4 years? Would it involve A, rocking the boat, or B, avoiding rocking the boat at all costs, if you had to guess? And that is fundamentally the issue. Like the biography that was given and all that Joe Biden said, I bet all of that is true. I bet this person's a true patriot and will be a loyal steward and competent manager of effectively the exact same foreign policy that we've had. Hopefully the Obama foreign policy rather than the Trump foreign policy, at least vis-a-vis the increase of drone strikes and things like that. And so the question when evaluating this person is that what you want? Do you think that the big issue with American foreign policy over the past decade to 2 decades is just that the leadership isn't competent enough and it needs a good, experienced manager? Well, and if so, then this is a good person for you. If you think that the military needs to be massively reformed and drawn down, something that, by the way, was being talked about under Rumsfeld way back in the day, then having someone who's a lifer and is super tied in with a number of these currently serving generals and admirals and all of that is probably not the best idea, let alone concerns over lack of civilian control of the military, which has typically been the case with the Secretary of Defense, and let alone all of the stuff having to do with the military contractors and the likely unwillingness he'll have to pull us out of those conflicts, and the fact that it's probably a signal that isn't a priority for Joe Biden if that's the person that he's choosing. There's a lot of issues, and there were some good other potential choices that Biden would, of course, never have considered for Secretary of Defense.
So I'm not even done sharing some of General Austin's history and some of the things that he did when he was actually in the military. So for instance, when he was the head of Central Command, he did face some criticism for spending $500 million in Syria to train fighters, but only training a handful. How does that cost $500 million? I mean, okay, red flag. Also, there were allegations that Central Command downplayed terrorist threats to boost the image of the military. But one other thing that I think is important to note is that you have to be fair in your analysis and your critique of politicians across the board. And so if you are a Democrat who happens to engage in punditry, you can't go after Donald Trump for doing something and then give Joe Biden a pass. And in this case, Austin has not been out of the military for the required 7 years and would need a waiver from Congress to become Secretary of Defense. And lawmakers have signaled their wariness of granting yet another exception for a retired general to lead the Pentagon just 4 years after President Donald Trump sought one for his first defense secretary, Jim Mattis. There's a very real and important reason for why that rule exists. And some lawmakers, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, have committed to voting against this cabinet pick because of the fact that it would break the 7-year rule.
Yeah, and look, it seems like maybe when it comes down to it, that there might be a few who will be consistent on that. We'll have to see. We honestly, at this point, we don't even know what the nomination process is going to look like. It really does come down to those the Georgia runoffs, and if he does end up going the route of sort of acting heads that don't have to go through that process, then that really fundamentally changes our calculus of whether some of these individuals are going to make it through.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.